Victoria Popoola Opeyemi. I'm 21, was born in the year 2000. I studied economics at the University of Lagos. I was born in Lagos. I attended International School, University of Lagos. So my life has pretty much been centered around Lagos. I actually had the opportunity to go outside of Lagos for the first time last year. When I went to Jos for my NYSC orientation program. And it was amazing, but I still like Lagos, because the atmosphere is just lively, and I mean, I prefer Lagos to other states. No offense. Okay, well, I feel like it's more or less like a validation of something I already knew. Not to be proud or anything. But I mean, I guess I always felt like I was special in a way, and I always felt like I could do anything that I wanted to do, and everything really came down to a matter of choice. Was I willing to do the things that that success required? And I feel like my stay in the University of Lagos for my undergraduate program was an opportunity to, I wouldn't say test my limits, because I feel like I haven't gotten to my limits yet. I mean, not even close, but it gave me an idea, a big idea of the things that I can achieve if I really put my mind to it. Well, I mean, this follows from my previous answer, right? About testing your limits and see what you can do or see how far you can go. So before in the University of Lagos, well, I wouldn't say I was lazy, but I mean, while I knew that I could do pretty much anything, right? I never really had kind of like a platform or an opportunity to really do that. So I guess that's one thing that being a student here really taught me. I tried new things, most of which didn't last very long anyway. I'd say one of that would be when I tried overnight reading. And I thought, well, what's the big deal, right? Just go to your department with a few friends, right, that can keep you accountable to what you're there for. Do your reading and leave by 5 a.m. I tried that a couple of times, but that didn't work out very well. It was mostly going there and being all gingered for the first like 30 minutes, 1 hour, and then just sleeping off right after. So I'm telling my friends that I went with, I'm so tired, I really need to rest. Can you guys wake me up in like 30 minutes? And it feels like they didn't wake me up, because when I wake up, it's like, hey, it's time to go. Like, people are already leaving. And I'm like, oh, okay, at least I read. At least I read 30 minutes, right? I also tried going to the library. I actually went a couple of times, but there were people there, which meant distractions, right? I can be very dreamy sometimes and just get lost in the environment and everything that's happening. So that didn't work out very well. But reading on my bed was very comfortable. It was easy to just take naps whenever I wanted and just wake up whenever and continue reading without anybody looking at me like, well, you came to the library to read, like, and you spent the whole session sleeping. So I mean, there was nobody judging, there was nobody timing me or distracting me. So it was easier to do, because when you're reading, it's important to also eat and sleep. I guess that kind of helped make the learning process easier. Well, I mean, I can't say there's anything in particular that I can point to, because of the kind of person I am. Anything can potentially be a distraction. Just reading where other people are could potentially be distracting. And I guess the usual answers would be going clubbing or partying, or I mean, although I never did that, I feel like even if I had, it probably wouldn't have, made a difference. Because I believe there's time for everything, right? And I feel like if you're able to get your priorities right, even if you're a party kind of person, which I was not, it's still possible to achieve whatever you set out to achieve. I wouldn't say I was social, and I also wouldn't say I was not social. Because of how I was, I guess, raised. We pretty much just kept to ourselves. So I mean, it makes sense that I wouldn't go out of my way to really, attend social gatherings or really try to make friends first. But also the other way, it's like when other people come up to me to try to socialize and things like that. I was always receptive, as much as much as I could be. Always try to be as friendly as possible. Even if it wasn't really my first instinct. So being social was pretty much was more of a decision than a personality trait. It was something I had to learn. I mean, I used to be a very shy person. I like to think I'm still quite shy. But now I've learned that that doesn't necessarily do you any good, right? So even if it involves going out of your way to really put yourself out there, going out of your way to meet other people, I mean, I think it's really important. And that's one of the things I wish that I had done more. Talked to more people, met more people, networked. That was the language then. All the students be like, oh, are you networking? When you're out of school, you need to network. And I'm like, man, this is going to be incredibly hard. That wasn't something I was looking forward to. But as I did it more, it became more natural. It became easier to do. And I think there's much to be gained from from being friendly with others, from keeping relationships. Although that's one thing I'm still struggling with. It's one thing to make the relationship or to start the relationship, and it's a whole other thing to really put in the effort to maintain the relationship. To keep up with people, to really follow up on things. Because I mostly just like my space. So yeah, it's something I've had to learn to do. Yeah. Well, I think that over time, who I wanted to be has changed a couple of times. First, I wanted to be a doctor, a medical doctor, when I was much younger, and I think most of that was influenced by a couple of roles I played in my primary school drama and in church as well. So I felt like there was a pattern here. So maybe this was destiny or nature telling me I was meant to be a medical doctor. And because of that, I went to science class. I mean, that went well for the most part. I was doing okay, so I felt, yeah, maybe this was it, right? But then by SS3, thereabout, I had a newfound love for mathematics, which was due to kind of like a foundational training if I say, from my dad, who is a teacher, So before that, I was pretty much not very good at math. I scaled through it, over time, but then it wasn't something that I really fancied. But after this foundational training, it became something that I enjoyed doing, something that I enjoyed working on. So much so that I actually wanted to study mathematics, at the university. But then my dad advised, he said, if what you really want to do is math, if what you really love is the quantitative, aspect of coursework, then maybe you should go for economics, because that has that quantitative aspect, and also has, a lot of practical aspects as well. He probably said economics was, the one of the broadest courses you could do, that had that level of, quantitative coursework, and then was also applicable to different areas of life. Well, as much as I was told that, I would be able to really do a lot of quantitative coursework, I also wasn't very prepared for the qualitative aspects, that involved a lot of reading, a lot of proper understanding. I wouldn't say it was, it was terribly difficult, but it wasn't exactly my strong suit, or so I thought. So I had to put in, a little extra work for the qualitative courses than I expected. I think my saving grace was that I came in 200 level. Because listening to those who came in 100 level talk about how they did courses like sociology, psychology, and the rest, I started to wonder at some point how I would have survived if I had come in at that same level. So that was one of the biggest challenges. Moving from something that was more my strong suit, to having to put in a lot more effort, to reach the same standards for the ones that I felt that I wasn't as good at. I think there were lots of factors actually. Some were internal, but most of the factors were external, right? And for the internal factors, that mostly came from a kind of confidence that I've always had in terms of my abilities and what I was able to achieve if I really set my mind to it. And also a lot of that came from the foundation I had, thanks to the kind of teaching I was exposed to, because of the fact that my dad was a teacher. He taught sciences and then he also taught commercial subjects. So I feel like at every point in my academic life, there was always something he was able to chip in. To make just make things a bit easier to learn, easier to understand. So that was the internal factor, the internal kind of self-confidence that I had. And in terms of external factors, first I want to say a very big thank you to my parents, to my mom. As much as I say, or as much as I wonder why I had to come home, every week or every weekend, I also appreciate that, it definitely had a lot of sort of positive effects for me, or advantages in a sense. I also want to say, thank you to my lecturers. Without them, none of this would have been possible. My then HOD, Professor Dauda. In fact, I like to think Professor Dauda is someone I look up to. First because I've gotten a lot of comments that I actually look like her. and I walk like her in a sense, and she's actually a very brilliant woman. She, has a lot of achievements, and just looking at her, I've never felt like there was something I wanted to do as a woman that I wasn't able to do. Yeah, so I mean, there were so many more lecturers. My project supervisor, Dr. Akishola, and then other wonderful lecturers, that really did, a couple of things to help me learn and, achieve the standards I'd set for myself. I also want to reference my friends as well. I had quite a number of friends, but only a few of them were really close. I'd want to say thank you to Oindamola Aoshika. She actually made my stay in Unilag, very, very interesting. And I actually learned a lot of things from her. I also want to say thank you to Adedoyin Ojosusi. I felt like she was my school mother. Even though we were classmates. We've been friends right from 200 level when I first came into the school. We shared the same hostel. Although we had different rooms. And some days she'd wake up really early and actually cook, for me. And then a couple of my other roommates as well. So thank you to her. I also want to say thank you to Moi. We weren't that close at the beginning, but we kind of warmed up to each other at the end. I also want to say thank you to Adedofu Abiodun. I've actually known him since my diploma days, and he's been amazing. Finally, I also want to talk about Ademola. We've been friends for a very long time. At a point in time, we actually tagged ourselves besties. That was a very important time for me in school. I also want to say thank you to so many of my other classmates. That made the experience an interesting one. And then finally, and then most importantly, I want to say thank you to God. Graduating with 4.90 is not a very easy thing. So he's the one who made everything possible. And I'm still trying to decide between an MBA and an MSc. But I definitely think that when I'm gaining a lot of experience at work, and then I'm also figuring out what I want in terms of a career. So I feel like that should come first, and then whatever professional exams or professional qualifications or academic qualifications I need, to actually follow that career should come second. But for now, I'm still torn between an MSc and an MBA. My name is Victoria Popoola Opeyemi, and I'm a proud product of the University of Lagos, University of First Choice, and the nation's pride.